Hi guys, and welcome to the Lowland League catch-up. It's myself, Rampant FM, and I'm joined with Mozza once again. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm very well, mate. How's you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Another week of Lowland League action. Only 4 games for us though, and 2 Scottish Cup games. It's some interesting results, obviously, this weekend. I don't know if you managed to have a wee check.
Yeah, I was keeping tabs on, especially the Scottish Cup games, the replays. Obviously, BSC didn't have a game this weekend, so I was able to keep an eye on what was happening. But there's one or two that really stuck out, and I'm sure we'll get into them. So I won't I won't dive in too early.
Yep, we'll start with Gretna, because that was what an amazing result. We obviously, when we talked about it last week, we thought maybe Edisport were coming on as maybe potential challengers,
Hmm.
obviously under the radar in the league. But Gretna, what a result that was! 2-1 over Edisport. Their third win in a row, including the 2 cup games they played in the last couple of weeks. Daniel Fitzpatrick after 31 minutes. And what an ending this is. Jordan Alexandra for Edisport in the 90th minute, and then Kevin Connolly the 91st minute. From It was from Kev that I got the information, but he said it was a 30-yard rocket. We'll have to take his word with it, obviously, because he's not been at the game. But what a result! What a result for Gretna that is.
I've not heard from Kevin today or seen him on Twitter. I'm sure it's 40 yards by now, but aye, it sounds like he scored a bit of a belter, and he's not got a goal the last couple of games, so it's good for him to get back on track. Given that he was there, Mr. Goals last season, but it's a somewhat ending, like you say, to it. And we actually said on the previous podcast it'll be interesting to see if Gretna turn their cup form into league form,
Yep.
and they've gone and done it, especially against a team in Edgesport that were looking pretty decent. Let's be honest, and they still are. But flying under the radar, just picking up points quietly. So it's a cracking result for them. And they could have easily dropped ahead with that 90th minute equaliser, but they've picked themselves back up and gone and won the game right at the death. And, all power to them.
I love it. I think we spoke about it previously, but I love it how whoever's running the Gretna Twitter is obviously tweeting at us, letting us know about the results, which I really appreciate because at the end of the day, we've not had much to say about them in terms of way of results. So I totally accept that. That yeah, look, we've done this. You guys need to talk about it and give it the credit it's due, and quite rightly so. It's a brilliant result from Gretna, and it doesn't create much distance between the sort of bottom clubs, but certainly it gives them a wee bit of breathing space in terms of the league and from the White Hills, the Dalbeatties and whatnot. So
Yeah, it gives a wee bit of cushion. Because when you look at the table now, I know they're still sitting 13th, so they're still in danger, kind of at the bottom. But there is a 5 point gap there now, and they've got a game in hand on Whitehill. So every point's important at that side of the table. And if they pick up another couple of wins, it might not be downwards or looking. They might be looking up towards mid-table and kind of try and cement things up that side of things.
definitely, and it's a tough loss for Edisport. Obviously, we kind of touched on it, but
Mm.
that could have really consolidated them as a potential challenger at the top end. So that is such a tough loss for them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, they're never say never, but it's a tough one to take. Absolutely.
Yep. And going into another team that obviously I kind of highlighted Edisport and Cumbernauld Colts as this could be not a season defining weekend, but certainly one where they will make you sort of look at where they could be in the league. And obviously Colts winning 2-0 at Whitehill Welfare. That's it was I think you've talked about the cold days at Broadwood, and apparently it was a really cold day. It was 0-0 at half time. Apparently Colts had a few chances, but they were missing. From what I've read, they were missing some of their sort of key players or some of their first team, and we'll talk about that in a bit more depth. But obviously, Greg Passaggio header at the end of Stephen O'Neill corner on the 56 minutes, and then Sean Brown he slotted past the keeper on 58 minutes, and
Mm.
they've moved up to third in the table. It's a really good result for Colts, and I think they got a game in hand over Spartans. So if they win their game in hand as such, they'll be level level on points with Spartans, which is
Yeah.
obviously a start to a fantastic season for them.
And again, we've touched on this with the Colts already, the fact that they never seem to be a fancy team. They always seem to fly under the radar a wee bit. And generally they start pretty strongly. So it'll be a case of seeing if they can keep it up this season. They are quite a young squad as well as the other thing, but they've got a couple of experienced heads in there to kind of help them go. And then Sean Brown, they've got just an out-and-out goal scorer. And again, he was on the score sheet. And Greg Piscazzi, like you say, getting on the score sheet first of all. So it's what can I say about Broadwood right enough? It's definitely the coldest stadium in Scotland.
I saw a few tweets mentioning how cold it was, so I thought you would like that, Mozza. Having
It is Ice Station Zero, otherwise known as. But yeah, cracking result for them. Given that, I mean, I know Whitehill are bottom of the league, but ever since they've had their managerial change, they've been a different proposition on the pitch. So they're not going to be an easy team to beat, kind of going forward. And their stats are a little bit misleading, I'd suggest, with the way that the Jock's got them playing just now.
I think in terms of Cumbernauld Colts, obviously I've been I've praised them quite heavily, to be honest. I really like the way they play. I think they're a team to watch out for. For me, maybe they've got a better depth this season. You've got guys like Craig Henderson in from Livy, who seems to be doing a job for them. It's in terms of Whitehill, I believe from what I've read, their issues are creating chances, and if they don't get chances, they don't get goals, and if they don't get goals, they don't win games. I believe that's a big problem for them in the last sort of few games. They've not created a lot, so they really need to sort of work on basically their final third play. It's going to be tough for them, definitely this season, especially with other teams like the likes of Gretna, picking up points as well. So we're going to have to see how it goes with Whitehill. Obviously, we try and be positive, but realistically, most of our opinions are based on results, and it's definitely going to be tough for Whitehill, I think.
Well, if you look at the table just now, with the removal of Selkirk from the league, it's now a 28 game season, and they're 9 games in. So they've got 19 games left to essentially save themselves. By finishing bottom, they will go down. And their goal difference is quite a bit worse than the other teams there as well that are above them. So realistically, they need to get at least 2 or 3 more wins than the other teams there around them in the remaining 19 fixtures, which you don't want to get that figure too low. As soon as you get down to 10 games left and you're still needing 2 or 3 more wins, that's where you begin to panic. So they do need to pick out a couple of 3-pointers kind of in the next few weeks or so. And the games with those teams, say, from 9th, 10th in the table down, will be really important for them.
Definitely. And one of the sort of, I don't want to say shock, but certainly, it was a brilliant result for Gallifreydine against away to East Stirlingshire. Rory Payton, the young Hibs striker, obviously getting a goal. It was an own goal when it was Ricky Miller getting the third goal. That is a brilliant result for Gala against Shire, especially away at the Falkirk Stadium. Yeah,
and it sounded like it might not be surprising to hear it, but it was their best performance of the season from what I've heard. But I'm going to say this because I obviously touted them as being quite good at the start of the season with the squad. It does seem like they're beginning to knit things together and step forward on where you'd expect them to be in that kind of level. But I think I might have jinxed Shire, so sorry for any Shire fans listening, because I made a little quip last week about how they were the only tenant at that stadium that got they could win.
I remember.
And near Falkirk got their first win this weekend, and the reverse has happened to Shire. So apologies for the jinxing there, but it's, again, I know it's quite early to say so, but I think this season is going to be a season of rebuilding for East Stirlingshire now. With Del Ure and Andy Rogers in charge, they've not got the biggest squad in the world. It's quite threadbare. They're already, when you look at the table there, they've played a game more than Spartans in the lead, 2 games more than East Kilbride, and they're sitting 10 points off the pace already. Potentially more when East Kilbride get their game in hand. So I suspect they'll probably just want to consolidate now and give some of the younger boys a chance, and basically get ready for the next season.
Just to touch on, obviously, Dell. I don't think that's not his squad yet. Basically, you know what I
Yeah.
mean. I think he needs to get through this season, and then perhaps maybe next season build on what they have there, or perhaps maybe change it up a wee bit. But it's a bad result for Shire, and obviously given their season last year, it will be a bit disheartening for the fans. But again, it's kind of similar with Whitehill in a lot of sense. Maybe not to the extent of where they are in the league, but certainly management changes, through the season, not just in this league but in other leagues, obviously does affect teams, and it can either go one way or it can take a few weeks, months, several games to obviously get used to a new management system, and the players, they're another sort of kettle of fish to handle as well. So it's tough, especially changing management throughout early into the season.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, I know I might be kind of jumping the gun a wee bit saying what I said there, but I think realistically that's the way what you were saying with Dale and Andy, they'll be looking at it as well in terms of they want to basically get this team moulded into their image and what they want to do with it.
Yep.
And that's always a problem, as you say, with Whitehill as well. When another manager starts the season and he's got his own ideas and you replace him out with a transfer window, it's a case of getting through to January and doing what you can with the guys you've got and the preparations that have been made already. So we can't really judge them, I don't think, until possibly January onwards if they're able to make a few changes. And
yep.
I know they've brought one or two guys back to the club.
Yep.
McGregor being one of them. But yeah, they've got a decent group of boys there. So it'll just be interesting to see kind of how they go about changing things and putting their own stamp on it.
Yep, definitely, mate. And to our final Lowland League game, it was a draw in this one. It was University of Stirling drawing 2-2 with Vale of Leithen. University of Stirling led after Rory McEwen after 17 minutes. Sean Stewart on the 21st minute for Vale and David Bonner for Vale in the 28th. Blair Leon's got a red card. Quite a debatable one, actually, from what I heard. Certainly, from what I saw on the University of Stirling Twitter, they were a bit confused at why it was red card. Apparently the tackles were flying in and he won the ball fairly, and the decision went against him. He kicked the ball away, and unfortunately for Blair, he got sent off. These sort of things happen, obviously. But Rory McEwen free kick in 50 minutes. It was either an own goal or Kieran Hall might have been claiming it as well. Well, I'm sure we'll have the highlights to let you decide what happened there. But I tell you what, that's pretty much a credible draw for both teams, really.
Yeah, absolutely, and quite right for Kieran to claim it. He's absolutely within his rights to go and claim the goal. But that was a game that we really couldn't call, if I remember rightly, and I think I gave a marginal preference to Vale on just because of their form recently. But yeah, University of Stirling, especially going down to 10 men, have done really well to get a point out of that game.
Definitely.
And yeah, the red card, I'll wait and see the highlights. I've not had a chance to see yet. I know there was a lot of confusion about it, and usually when it's a confusion, it tends to be a bit of a dodgy decision.
Yep.
It's different if they just react against it and say, oh, that was never a red card. Sometimes you think had a wee bit of the rose-tinted specs are on, but it genuinely sounded like guys on both sides were a bit confused by what the referee did.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see when the footage comes out. But again, Vale of Leithen means goals.
Yeah.
We keep saying it, and we've not jinxed them yet. So we'll keep hammering it home. If you're in that area, at the inner Leithen area, get along and watch them. You'll get your money's worth. I go for every pound you spend again, just about. But it's two teams that should be pretty comfortable in the league this season. Put it that way. They're sitting right in the middle at this moment in time, and yeah, it's a major step forward for Vale from where they were last season, kind of struggling at the wrong end of the table. Chris Anderson's doing a really good job there now.
Yep.
I've got to say, and Chris Geddes again. He always has that turnover of guys coming through at the university, and he always manages to put a consistent team that gets the results. So both of them deserve a huge amount of credit for the jobs they're doing.
Definitely, mate. And getting into the Scottish Cup, obviously we'll start with Kelty. I was at the game against Dalbeattie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game. I didn't really have much time to sort of sit back and think about it. Stuart Cargill, I don't know if you heard, mate. You did hear an absolute wonder goal. I don't think the highlights. I watched the highlights today, and I don't think the camera does it justice of how good that goal was. I don't know if we're going to be doing a goal with the season sort of competition or whatever at the end of this, but certainly that's going to be up there.
Okay.
They led by, I think it was 4 or 5 minutes into the game, and I actually thought to myself, that's the type of goal that would settle the tie. Kelty were very, very attacking. I think they were going with a 4-3-3 from what I saw. People are probably going to get sick of me talking about Kelty and how good they are. Well, obviously not Kelty fans, but it's like watching a different team every time I see them. They had Scott Taylor Mackenzie in the middle. He's usually a winger. They had, I think Ian Nimmo was sort of up there with Brian Ritchie, and I think they even might have switched sides at a point in the game. When you've got, I mean, it's hard for me to keep, I'm watching the game and it's hard for me to sort of keep track where everyone's playing. I cannot imagine what it's like trying to defend these guys because they're switching. You're meant to cover, say you're covering Brian Ritchie, who, and then he switched sides, and it's really hard to sort of keep track. And that's one thing that we've probably maybe discussed about Kelty before. They're very, very adaptable. The likes of Errol Douglas playing at the back, he was playing in defence, and then we've got Kieran Chalmers playing in midfield. I really like what Tam's doing with that team in terms of, you see it high up the leagues, managers sort of sticking to the game plan, not really adjusting as well as they probably could. Tam's not like that at all. As I say, I've seen different Kelty teams from the times I've seen them, and it's the same players. It's just how they're working it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely. And earlier on, we were talking about these guys that have just came into the jobs, trying to put their stamp on a team and getting them sorted. That's Tam's team, and you can tell it's Tam's team as well. He's got them so well drilled, and they're one of the more flexible teams you'll see at the lower levels.
Definitely.
And even in comparison to, say, League 1, League 2 up the levels, Kelty have got so many things they can do, which is, it's a credit to the coaching staff and the operation they've got there.
Oh, definitely,
mate. But for what it's worth, having seen a wee bit of the highlights and kind of been reading up on a few of the Dalbeattie reports as well, I think they made a good fist at it. And the scoreline was a wee bit unkind on them because, again, they've run Kelty close and have shown that they are a decent outfit this season again, Dalbeattie. You just can't dismiss them in any game. They'll fight to the end, and Lewis Sloan especially, they've got talent, but all through the team they've got a decent bit of skill. And a lot of the time they get a reputation for being a bit kind of blood and thunder and direct and so on. But they've got guys that are capable of whipping a ball in and playing a nice wee through ball, and they've got a mixture of skills there.
Definitely. What I was going to say, obviously, Kelty's goal was fairly early into the game. It settled down after that. Dalbeattie really pressed. I was really impressed with them. People probably had a few eyebrows raised at me when I said that I really liked how Dalbeattie played from what I saw them against Kelty in the first game. And I have obviously seen Dalbeattie a few times this season as well. And to me, it was a bit of a weird one because the second and third goals just came pretty much at the back of each other just before half time. Brian Ritchie at the near post from a corner, and Stephen Husband just straight up the park, with a really sort of cheeky finish. The two goals before half time came out of pretty much nowhere, and it kind of killed off the game for Dalbeattie, and they were less disciplined, I would say, in the second half in terms of, not in terms of like yellow and red cards or tackles or that, just they weren't as pressing as much. The heads go down, obviously, if you're losing 3-0 in any game.
Yeah.
And in fairness to them, Kelty were just really attacking today. You had the likes of Elliot Ford and Conrad going way up the pitch. I think I talked to you about it yesterday, but Dalbeattie were lacking in the final third. Obviously, from what I've read, Dean Brotherston's moved on to Cumnock Juniors, so that's going to be a big miss for them because he was pretty much their goal man, or
Yeah,
and
yeah, he
it's
was their kind of big target man, main man, put the ball in the net. So if that is the case, obviously we're double checking it just now.
yeah,
It's a major miss for them.
definitely. And in fairness, they did have chances. I think I can't remember it was it might have been before the second or third goal, but there was a chance where I think it was almost an own goal from Kelty, so that could have easily got them back into the game. They obviously did get a goal. It was a bit of a sort of lack of communication between Scott Christie and Conrad Courts, which allowed Dalbeattie to get a sort of consolation. But as I say, the two goals before half time were just killed off the game. And I must say, the fans' man of the match, Brian Ritchie, completely deserved. He was definitely my man of the match. He was really brilliant. He was brilliant. It's probably the best game I've seen him in, having seen Kelty a lot this season. Stuart Cargill, he's he's came up the leagues with Kelty, and you rarely see that. You really see a player coming, 2-3 leagues up, and maybe still being at the club and still getting goals. That's a massive testament to him, his ability as a goal scorer to come up, from the juniors basically to where they are now and still banging in the goals. And one thing that's probably a wee bit underappreciated, especially at this level, is the fact that he's a smaller striker. He's certainly not one of the sort of target men that you're used to, but he can hold up a ball. I don't know how he does it, up against the sort of bigger defenders and whatnot, but he can hold up a ball really well, and that allows the likes of Brian Ritchie to run on, and Ian Nimmo and that. Yeah, it's fantastic to watch Kelty. I don't want to oversell it, but it really is, mate. It really is, and it's going to be interesting what the result's going to be like in midweek against another good team in the Civil Service Strollers.
Yeah, and that's a huge game. And I know we'll get into the previews in a wee bit, but the way the league is just now, and Kelty having dropped a couple of points here and there already, if they want to get involved in that promotion chase, they need to go ahead and win these kind of games now.
Yep. We touched on it last week, obviously, the Tuesday games. But yeah, it's also a big one for the likes of Gala. Yeah, another one's obviously Gretna and Gala Ferradine on Tuesday as well. That's going to be a big game.
Yeah, big. I don't know if we can call it a border rivalry, but we'll call it a border rivalry anyway, just in case. Given that there's a fair difference between them, so it's stretching it a bit to call it a local rivalry, but I suspect there's bragging rights to be had regardless.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And speaking of Civil Service Strollers, they got a 2-1 win over Forries. Faye rounded the keeper for 1-0, Stephen Froud 2-0, and Aidan Wilson getting the Forries goal. And in fairness to Forries, Kyle Rankin did have a penalty save to make in the first half. It's a good win for a Lowland League team over a Highland League team, 2-1. We kind of mentioned it last week that we felt that Civil Service at home would possibly get the win over Forries, but it sounded like it might have not been as straightforward as they would have liked. But another good win, mate. Another good win for a Lowland League team in the Scottish Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. It's bragging rights again for the league itself. But Forest obviously came down and showed they're no mugs, especially with, like you say, they had the penalty and they had all sorts of chances to take it to extra time. So they've given a good account of the Highland League in these couple of games against Civil. We know what Civil are all about this season with Gary Jordan at the helm. But it looks like Faye might well be a really, really good addition for them because he always seems to get involved in attacking play and, like you say, he opened the scoring there. He seems to be enjoying his football as well, and he's a decent all-round attacking player. So they've looks like they've signed a good one in him. But again, it's Civil kind of marching on this season. They've been brilliant from where they've been just the last couple of years or so, and Gary's taken on. Let's be fair, Alex Carnegie before him did a really good job to get them where they are, and Gary's just taken them to the next level at this point. And if they can get a good cup run, then who knows, a wee bit of money in the bank and maybe even strengthen further.
So that is pretty much the fixtures from the weekend. We obviously covered Tuesday's game in the last episode. We will start with Wednesday's games, and one that you and Michael are probably excited about, since you're back in action. We'll start with BSC Glasgow versus Whitehill Welfare. I think BSC, it's going to be a wee bit sort of difficult for them, obviously having a few weeks off, but it's a decent game to come back to. Whitehill Welfare obviously not performing sort of that well at the moment, so BSC are probably looking to be the favourites, especially at home for me.
Yeah, you'd think so. And the thing that will be in Whitehill's favour is the fact there might be a bit of rust to shake off in the early going, given that it's been a wee while now since a competitive game for BSC. Played against nobody in the cup and again at the weekend.
Tough game.
Tough opposition. But you know the way Stephen Swift works, that won't be an excuse. He'll have them ready to go.
Yep.
They'll be drilled and they'll know exactly what's expected of them. And you wouldn't want to get in the wrong side of Swifty, I suspect, so they'll know exactly what they need to do.
Yep, all about that praise, mate, especially when I come over on Saturday.
But no, I'll be there on Wednesday, so I'll let you know what I think of the game. I'm just delighted to get back to another game, to be honest with you. It's been a wee while.
Yep. Enjoyed your wee holiday. So Cumbernauld Colts versus University of Stirling, certainly not an easy game, but Colts, for me that's probably one of the games during midweek that would be interesting. Obviously University of Stirling, probably not as much wins as they would like, but they're certainly grinding out results. A couple of draws here and there. You know what I mean? So
yeah, they're one of the more difficult teams to play against, I think, in the league. That's an easy way to sum them up. And despite the fact they've only got a couple of wins on the board, when you look at their stats and their results, they pick up points when you don't expect them to pick up points as well. That'll be a good test for Cumbernauld. Their credentials for challenging at the top. We've said earlier on that Spartans and East Kilbride leading the way just now haven't lost yet, but they have had a couple of draws each on the board. So the thing with the Colts is they've lost a couple of games, but there's no draws there. They've won every other game.
Yep.
And that will probably stand them in good stead, I would think.
Just a note for University of Stirling fans: wrap up warm on Wednesday night.
Take the hot water bottles with you. You'll need them.
We say that it's probably going to be a sunny day or something, or a sunny night.
It doesn't matter if it's sunny in Broadwood, it's always cold.
Right, so for our third game, Edinsport versus Dalbeattie Start. As I said, it's going to be tough for Dalbeattie, possibly losing Dean Brotherston. I think people can appreciate that we don't always have the information available, but that would be another interesting result.
Yeah, and the thing that Dalbeattie have got in their favour there is it's a short trip to Galabank in the grand scheme of things to play Edinsport, whereas Edinsport will be coming down from Glasgow to play that game. So it's almost like an away game for them, especially in midweek. It probably doesn't have as much impact at the weekend, but coming off a narrow defeat, you'd think Edinsport will want to get right back into the swing of things, but they could be a wee bit vulnerable. So it all depends on the way the momentum goes early on, I'd suspect. And if Dalbeattie can keep it tight, you never know. They could easily steal something there.
Definitely. So getting into the weekend's fixtures, mate, we'll start with the big one, just because it's alphabetical order, obviously. But BSC Glasgow versus Cumbernauld Colts. I'm going to be coming to the game, obviously. I look forward to meeting up with you once again. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing Cumbernauld Colts. As you said last week, I've been quite highly praising them and stuff, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're all about in person. I've seen BSC this season. In fairness, I think yourself, Michael, and George had said at the time when they played Kelty that they were missing a few key players. So yeah. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're at like full strength, and I think it's going to be a really good game, actually. Yeah,
it's set up. It's all set up to be a cracker. And the other thing we're keenly aware of is obviously we don't want to get too focused on BSC and Kelty, so we will have a bit of a Cumbernauld Colts focus in the next pod as well. Just for anyone listening in that's interested to find out a wee bit more about them, we'll at least get a couple of interviews, or maybe even get somebody on the pod to talk through the game from the Colts themselves. But I think it's set off basically as to be the game of the weekend. And I've not had the chance to properly watch the Colts this season as yet, but everything tells you that they're doing pretty well. Let's be fair. So, given that BSC have had a bit of a slow start, all things considered, we say it every week that it's all 6-point games, but it really is.
Yep.
With the talent at the top of this league just now, if you want to get involved, you cannot afford to drop too many points. And BSC are already at the stage where they're beginning to drop away from any kind of aspirations of going up. So if they even if they lost one or two more games, you'd count them out at this point, I suspect.
Yeah.
And there's only 8 games played, so it just shows you how tough a league this is.
Definitely. Going into the second game, we've got Civil Service Strollers at home to East Stirlingshire. It's a tough one. It'll really... I'm interested to see what Civil Service do against Kelty on Tuesday. In case you guys don't know, I'm going to be at the game, so I'll see them in first time this season. I'm really, again, another team I'm really looking forward to seeing. Obviously, I saw Shire earlier, and the result at the weekend wasn't... I don't know if I would say it was the worst. Would you say, would it be fair to say it was probably their worst result so far this season? I
think that's a hard one to say.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah, with the way Gala have been playing, I don't know if you can call it the worst. It wasn't a great one. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
To lose 3-0 at home to any team is not great, but I think you need to give them a little bit of a leeway for the fact that it's a new management team and everything as well.
Certainly, it's another game where they're up against a quality team in Civil Service Strollers. It's going to be hard for East Stirlingshire, but at the end of the day, as I said, I said it might be the Gala game might have been their worst sort of result. It's I think you're right. It's tough when, I think we mentioned it earlier, but like a new management team coming in, it's maybe not necessarily the team that their team quite yet, sort of thing. It's going to be a tough game, I think, for East Stirlingshire in any case.
Yeah, and something just to throw in about Shire as well. They probably won't thank me for saying this, but with the exception of those cup games I've had recently, away up at Huntly and also against Glasgow Uni, they're on a 4-game losing streak here.
Yeah.
So it's not where they want to be, let's be honest, with the guys have got in the team. And even though it has been narrow defeats, so they've lost to Vale of Leithen by a single goal, to Edgesport by a single goal, Kelty got a 2-0 win over them. They're going in the wrong direction and they need to stop the rot.
Yeah, completely agreed. Having seen Shire earlier, I think it's going to be tough for them to... Again, it's what we said earlier, they really have to sort of consolidate themselves this season. I think next season's probably going to be where we might see them come back into the sort of fray of teams that are going to be up there.
Yeah.
And talking about teams that are going to be up there, East Kilbride are back in action against Edinsport. It's always hard to tell. It's the same with BSC. It's always hard to tell what's going to happen with teams that we've not really seen over the last couple of weeks. The last time they played, they were against Spartans. They obviously drew 0-0. Edinsport, again, it depends on what happens with their game against Dalbeattie Star. It's certainly not an easy game in midweek for them as well. But Kilby, they've got a quality side. I think at home at K Park, they're probably likely to be favourites again. But again, they've got that whole rustiness thing, and Edinsport, I wouldn't rule them out, certainly not.
No, and when you think it, pretty much every Edinsport player is based in Glasgow, there's no travel concerns, especially midweek. So it's a potential banana skin game, I would say, for them. One that you'd expect them to get through, but again, it wouldn't surprise you that much to see a draw there.
Definitely not. And sorry, I'm laughing at this one again. Another one where it's Gala Ferradine Rovers versus Spartans. I don't know how to describe that, mate. Because Gala, we've talked about Gala. You know how it's sort of coming together for them now. This will be a real test against the champions, I think. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
But being at home and Spartans again with their sort of 2 weeks off, it's going to be tough for Spartans, I reckon. I think Gala can, if they're focused enough, especially with the likes of Rory Payton coming in and doing really well, I think they could get a result against Spartans. I really do.
Yeah, they absolutely could do. I don't know if I'd jump and say I'd expect them to, because the last time they had a home game in a similar kind of circumstance was at the start of the month to Civil Service, and they got beat 2-0. So, like, there's a similar scenario that a team from Edinburgh bang in form was coming down and took the result and took the points. But you can be sure that Spartans will know they've been in a game.
Yeah.
The way things are just now. And you'd expect Spartans to maybe win by the odd goal. Their defensive record, like East Kilbride's, is fantastic. They know how to put the ball in the net and win by the odd goal or a couple of goals. So if Gala can get a goal early on, though, it could seed a little bit of doubt in there. So I'll be keeping my eyes on that one closely when we're at the game together, the BSC game.
And we'll obviously be keeping you updated on the Jamie Dishington situation if we're going to be called the Fancast eventually. Yeah, we've not really had much to say about Spartans the last, or well, in fairness, Kilby either. So, yeah, it's full fixtures next week.
Nice to get back to normal fare and all league fixtures again, because it's been a wee while.
Yep, certainly has. Another tough one: Gretna versus Kelty Hearts. Gretna. If they keep shouting us on Twitter, I think they could get us out. Kelty.
Well, if you're a superstitious person.
Kelty, you know, I've probably spoken enough about how much I rate Kelty and how good they are. It's one of these fixtures where you just don't know. I mean, Gretna, they look like they're, again, in fairness to them, I think they're starting to gel a wee bit, like similar to Gala. Who knows? We say it every week, but who knows? I'd probably go with Kelty on that one, simply because of the way they play and whatnot. I think that they'd probably be favourites for that one if you had to choose a favourite.
I mean, people must get sick of us saying, "Oh, who knows?" and we can't tell, but we genuinely can't tell a lot of these games. It is that tight, and it is. But that's why we love this league.
Definitely.
It's really, you can probably predict the teams that will be up come the end of the season up there challenging, but in any given, I almost said any given Sunday there, I'm like American on you, any given Saturday, teams can take points off each other and you can't raise that much of an eyebrow to it. So it's you get your money's worth, put it that way.
Vale of Leithen versus Dalbeattie Star, another tough one to call really. Vale of Leithen, my worry, as I said earlier, Dalbeattie Star, is going to be very difficult if they have lost Dean Brotherston in the final third. They didn't really, in fairness, Lewis Todd, Lewis Sloan, these guys are really good. I think it was Jamie McCarry that was playing up front for them against Kelty, if I remember correctly. But he's had a few chances, but a lot of them he's came off the bench, but he's not got the goals that Dean Brotherston has at the moment. In fairness, I think they need to find their first choice striker.
Yeah, I think Dean Brotherston had a bit of pedigree coming to them as well, like having been with the likes of Forfar, and he's also got a bit of talent having been in the SPFL.
Yep.
So it'll be a tough position to fill for them. And the one team you do not want to face if you're potentially going to struggle to get goals is Vale of Leithen.
Yes, definitely.
So we'll see how they approach it.
The last game of the weekend, it's a 6-pointer. But at the other end of the table, it's Whitehill Welfare versus Edinburgh Uni. This is a must-win for both teams. Edinburgh
Massive
Uni,
game.
They're certainly been dragged into the relegation sort of struggles at the moment, and Whitehill need to win that game. That's a must-win for Whitehill, probably more so than Edinburgh Uni, because I think Edinburgh Uni could possibly go out and get a few other results, whereas I think it's going to be more difficult for Whitehill Welfare the way things are going.
Yeah, and we said earlier on, we are approaching must-win territory for these teams. Even this early on in the going. I agree with you in that one. I think that Whitehill need to get 3 points here and kickstart their season, because if Edinburgh Uni win that, suddenly you're in a position where they could potentially be 3 wins off the pace.
Yep.
And that's not a hole you want to dig yourself into. So I'll be intrigued to see if they go with like a couple of guys up front, or if it's one up front. The way they approach it will say a lot about their intentions, I think. Whether it'll be basically one guy up front trying to hit in the counter, or whether they're saying, right, it's time to go. Let's go and get a win or two here and get some goals. So we'll wait and see kind of how they go. And in terms of Edinburgh University, Dorian obviously knows what he's got to do with the squad he's got now. They've done their trials. They've maybe got one or two more bodies in, but again, they need to start moving as well.
Definitely. So that rounds up pretty much the weekend's results and next weekend's fixtures. Are you? Do you want to do plugs first? Do you want to go first?
Oh, if you insist.
Where can people find you, mate?
So before I do me, we'll do the league first of all. You can find the official league Twitter on @officialslfl. Just in case we forget later on. And it's slfl.co.uk as well for the website that's just been updated recently, so it's easier to see the fixtures and so on as well. You'll find me on Twitter @MozzaPlays, MOZZA. And how about your good self, Rampant?
@Rampant FM on Twitter, and you can also find me on YouTube. So that pretty much wraps up another Lowland League catch-up. This one pretty sort of thick and fast like last week's. Another week of quality football, mate. Affordable football. I was really happy with the Kelty Dalbeattie game. Obviously, it really is great. I absolutely love covering this league. Is basically what I'm trying to say. It's entertainment. It's must-win games. It's quality all over the park.
Yeah, it's never dull. And then the other thing, for any of you out there that are hungry for some more content, you'll find all the blogs as usual on the website, all the roundups. But bear in mind now that Rocksport Radio are the official media partners of the league as well. And if you tune into their sports and football shows, you will hear some Lowland League content there as well. So make sure you get them plugged into your DAB radios.
So that is the episode, guys. We want to thank everyone for obviously listening and watching on YouTube. It's an absolute privilege to do these every week. We want to thank Michael Park and George Fraser, and also clubs, fans, everyone that listens and contributes to the show. There probably won't be an update to the Tuesday games. As I said, I'm going to be at the Kelty Heart Civil Service game. Definitely check out the SLFL Twitter as well as the website. And we'll be back next week. I'll see you soon.